And oh, actually, that was Trump. Oh, well, they kind of twisted his words. That's not exactly what he said. Oh yeah, okay. Oh, he fucked up. Okay. Oh, he just fucked up. Happens to the best of us. Can't trust the media. Nope, cannot trust the
Yeah,
media. I've started this whole YouTube channel making video thing, uh, mostly focusing on pickup artists, uh, because I like talking about people being wrong. Why they're wrong, what is the correct opinion to have, and why don't people reach the correct opinion. Because I don't have disdain for most pickup artists. There are some more colorful fellows that I really cannot stand for moral reasons, but 99% of people who join pickup artist communities, they join them out of a genuine need, genuine want, and the reason they believe that the pickup artists are correct is our normal processes that we can all fall victims to, and I certainly do all of the time, and you do too. So what I want to do today is to take a look at two of the main reasons why we are wrong. And we're going to use uh, our good friend Joe Rogan to help us out here. This was 2 days. This was posted 2 days ago. So December 22nd. Yeah, that's December 22nd. There it is. It's a conversation they had about Joe Biden. Now, Joe Rogan is a conservative. He's a Republican. Some of their fans will say, no, he's a centrist. He's an open-minded. He's critical. He's not. He's really not. I wish I could say the most famous podcast host is a very conscientious person who tries to take a look at issues from both sides. He doesn't. He's extremely biased, and it's a bad thing, but it's not like this is unique to him. I'm very biased. Anyone's really biased. We're going to be looking at uh, an exchange where we really can see one of the reason people are so wrong all the time. So it's pretty short. Let's get to it.
Well, there's people that voted for Biden that are doing it now.
Yeah.
They're like, what did I do?
Right.
Like, what did I choose? Like, how is this guy?
Yeah, you just can't listen to an interview where he's saying some of the stuff he says that just makes no sense at all. It's like you can't listen to those interviews and feel like you made a good decision. I don't know how you
Did
could.
you hear what he said like yesterday or a couple days ago?
Mm-mm.
He's talking about the Revolutionary War. He's like, one of the reasons why we lost the Revolutionary War, one of the problems with the Revolutionary War was they didn't have enough airports.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
I saw that. It's
Have
like,
you seen
what
that?
the
Like, pull him.
It's
Imagine
crazy.
if you had any other job and you were talking like that,
Yeah.
they would go, "Hey, you're done."
If you talk like that to a doctor at your
Yeah.
medical exam to fight, they'd be
Yeah.
like, okay, like obviously you're not fighting. You would also here's 8 weeks of uh, being helped out by a professional, like
Right. You might not ever do anything again.
No, it's
Yeah.
it's one of the wildest things ever.
It's insane.
So yeah, pretty simple. Joe Biden said that they lost the Revolutionary War because they didn't have airplanes or whatever. When they couldn't have airplanes in the Revolutionary War, this is obviously very historically illiterate, and they're making fun of Joe Biden for that comment, right? Which makes sense. If Joe Biden made that comment, that's a clear sign that there's a lot of cognitive problems here. Obviously, we can all see from the title of this clip that it's not gonna turn out that way. But yeah, the reaction is pretty typical. Like, oh, he said that. Well, what a loon, what an idiot, what a dementia-riddled person. Okay, so moving on a little bit forward.
Whoa.
All right, just,
What?
just for the record,
Is that fake?
it's not fake, but he was referencing Trump saying that. Here's what Trump saying it in 2019.
Oh.
Donald Trump said something about that, and he didn't say Jesus. He said a stable genius, and that's where the transcription.
Let me hear what it says. What did he say?
In June of 1775, the Continental Congress created a unified army out of the revolutionary forces encamped around Boston and New York, and named after the great George Washington, Commander-in-Chief. The Continental Army suffered a bitter winter of Valley Forge, found glory across the waters of the Delaware, and seized victory from Cornwallis of Yorktown. Our army manned the airport. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he fucked up.
Yeah, he did. But I feel like
Took over
that's
the airport.
I'm just-
you can
yeah.
tell too. It sounds like a little different. He's like,
Yeah.
you can tell he like messed up his words, but
Yeah.
yeah. He was just, I don't know.
Took over the airport.
Well, that's the thing about media these days. It's like
Right.
you
never
gotta
know.
look into it.
Okay, so we're getting a really clear example of what I want to talk about. They thought, they heard about Joe Biden's words saying insane stuff, and oh, he's insane, what a loon, what a monster. Monster is a bit strong word, but, and oh, actually, that was Trump. Oh, well, they kind of twisted his words. That's not exactly what he said. Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, he fucked up. Okay. Oh, he just fucked up. It happens to the best of us. Can't trust the media. Nope, cannot trust the media. So, what do we have here? We have two completely different reactions to more or less the same observation, right? You see a president or ex-president saying a thing. If it's Biden, well, what an idiot. If it's Trump, they twisted his words. You can't trust the media. You kind of push it away. It's if it's Trump that said it, it's not that big of a deal. If it's Biden that said it, oh well now it really shows how much trouble we're in. So why the lack of consistency? Why the double standard? And the answer is fairly obvious. It's a term you've probably already heard of in your life. It's the confirmation bias. Thank you, Google Images. The confirmation bias is pretty simple. If we hear or see something that we already believe in, we'll assume that, yep, that's true. This is reasonable. This is true. This is worthy of my attention. This is worthy of my trust. But if I see something that goes against my belief, well, there's a reason why this is not that important or why this is wrong. So, if you hear about Biden saying something stupid, well, I believe that Biden is an old fart that's not fit for office. So yeah, this makes sense. Yeah, he said that. Yeah, of course he said that. Of course he's insane. Of course he's super dumb. Of course he's not all there. Of course. But if Trump said it, there's some extenuating circumstances that explains what he said. And obviously, if you see the world through this lens, you're never going to change your mind, right? If I'm going to use an example on race. If I believe that black people are violent, well, whenever I see a black person being violent, I'll say, of course they're violent. Of course. It already confirms what I believe. But if I see a black person, just chilling, well, I'm going to ignore it. I'm not going to care. I'm just going to I'm going to go on with my day. So I'm never going to change my mind. And that's the confirmation bias in action. How can we use this confirmation bias with pickup artists? It's actually pretty simple. I've been saying again and again that pickup artists techniques like negging, and well, there's various pickup artist techniques depending on the pickup artist, but neuro-linguistic programming, making an approach, having pickup lines, there's a ton of them. I cannot name them all, but they don't work. They do not work. But pickup artists believe they work. Most of them. Some of them might just be, grifters, but most of them, yeah, they believe that what they're reading, what they're saying, what they're using actually works. With the confirmation bias in mind, well, how can that explain that they believe that it works if it doesn't? Simple. You go up to a woman, you say your prepared pickup line. They don't react correctly. They don't react according to the plan. So, maybe I did it wrong. Maybe that woman was gay. Maybe she didn't hear me right. Maybe the mood wasn't quite right. But if it does work, well, truly, I am a modern day Casanova. Clearly, what I'm doing is very effective. Clearly, what I learned was not for nothing. It's the confirmation bias. You can fail 20 times with your pickup lines. But if it works once, well, they're effective then. And you can kind of put yourself in the shoes of someone that is really motivated into having sex with a woman. Just if you get 20 no's but one yes, it's a yes. That's the mindset. But if you look at it objectively, if you get 20 no's and one yes, that's a 95% failure rate. That's abysmal. Your system sucks. And that's a confirmation bias. That's one of the ways that pickup artists will believe that what they're doing will work. And you'll get pickup artists that have been part of the community for 8, 9, 10 years, and they'll still believe that it works. Simply because whenever it succeeds, the brain registers it. And when it doesn't, you make up excuses. You make up interpretations why this is not that big of a deal. Okay, so that's the confirmation bias. Again, probably something you've heard of. It's not very complicated. And we're all vulnerable to it. I am vulnerable to it. I chose Joe Rogan specifically because he's very pro-Trump. I am not. I'm very much against the Republicans and their politics. And if I read somewhere that, I don't know, Chris Christie has been accused of sexual trafficking, I'm not going to think twice about it. I'm going to be, oh yeah, of course. Yeah, he's a Republican. They're monsters. Yeah, duh. But if later I learn that it's, what is his name? Andrew Cuomo from New York? Yeah, I think that's it. I'm probably going to say, well, that was one of the bad apples. This one was corrupt, but not the other ones. Not Bernie. Bernie would never do that. And Bernie's a real Democrat. Andrew Cuomo is like he's kind of a Republican, kind of, actually. If you really think about it, if I twist my mind enough, I'll think that that's correct. I'm vulnerable to it. You're vulnerable to it. Joe Rogan's vulnerable to it. That doesn't make us stupid, but it is a way that our mind not really plays tricks on us, but leads us to the wrong conclusions. It's hard to be confronted with the facts that we're wrong. It wounds us. It hits our self-esteem in the balls. And it's way easier to just stick to what we know, what we believe. And if you want to reach truth, if you want to see the world accurately, you have to question your beliefs. So, what do you need to do? Simple. Whenever you see information that aligns with your beliefs, don't just blindly accept it. And when you see something that, goes against what you believe, be mindful of the fact that your mind is going to try and play tricks on you to get you to reject that information. And that takes an effort. That takes some effort. Like you have to stop, think, okay, is that my belief? Am I just, being too easy on it? Do I have to be more critical? That's a lot of cognitive effort. I can't blame you for just living through life not thinking too much about these things. You might not have that energy to spare, but it's something that you should try to do, especially when it's something like important that goes in line with human rights. I don't know. Right now, trans people are being associated a lot with child abusers and pedophiles when, objectively, there's no relationships between the two. But one party is pushing it very strongly, and if you're kind of uneasy about trans people and you think, it's kind of weird, well, if they say, oh, actually they're also really weird with children, and the fact that you're uncomfortable with them, yeah, that's justified, you'll be more likely to say, oh, yeah, I was right, I'm so smart, I was right to be uncomfortable. It's not because I'm prejudiced, it's because actually I was very right. That's how your mind will work. And in the same way, if you're very pro-trans and you hear something about, oh, actually, there was a mass shooting and the shooter was trans, you'll probably say, oh, well, maybe they're wrong. Maybe it was something else. Maybe it can be explained in another way. Maybe actually it's because he was trans but conservative. Oh, that might be why. Actually, it's the fact that he's conservative that led him to shooting. And I don't know, maybe you're right. I'm just making this up as I go. But you will tend to go for what confirms what you already believe. Okay, that's the first one. Here's the second one. And you can tell I am a teacher because here comes the PowerPoint. It's just one slide. I'm just using it because it's an easy way to animate something. Okay. The second principle that leads pickup artists to be wrong about their beliefs. One common argument you get is, if it doesn't work, why are people sticking with it? Why are there so many people looking into pickup artists and staying with pickup artists? If it didn't work, if you just went up to a woman and your technique just didn't work, well, you just go home and say, well, this is a waste of time and money. Of course, there's confirmation bias. It's fine. But there's another reason. Let's start here. We have someone who has some kind of issue. It can be internal or external. Here, we're going to go with I feel lonely. Okay? We have someone who feels lonely. So, I'm going to look for solutions to that. Right? Makes sense? So I will, doesn't work. There we go. I'm going to be looking for a solution. I'm Googling, I'm feeling lonely, I want to meet girls. How can I meet girls? Well, pickup artists are there for you. So you start looking into pickup artistry, and they tell you the woman's mind works this way. And if you do these techniques, it'll work. You'll get a girlfriend. Oh, well, that's nice. That's nice. That's very good. That's what I want. And now you start to feel a little better. There's hope. That feeling of loneliness over there at the start starts to go away. It starts to attenuate. Oh, I can get a girlfriend. So I go out and now I understand women. I feel nice about it. So I'm going to go out and use my techniques to see if, I can finally break out of my cycle of loneliness. Which leads to internalizing some misogynistic concepts. You'll start to think of women as sex objects. You start to think of women as, monolithic. They all think the same. And if you just use these techniques, they always work because women are all very similar. It's kind of the gist of pickup artistry. And your techniques won't work. But you did get the initial relief when you learned about the techniques. But now you're a little bit more misogynistic. You're a little bit less well-adjusted because now you will stop acting normally like you would around women, which will put them off. And it will reinforce your loneliness. You'll feel more and more lonely because you'll be more and more ostracized for normal human interactions. So, now you're even more lonely. Thankfully, you can go online and talk to your pickup artist friend, and they will tell you why you failed and why you're even more alone. And they'll help you out with their fantastical tips and techniques that you could use to better understand women. And these techniques will further ostracize you from interacting with women, which will put you in an even more intense state of loneliness. And that's the addiction cycle. You've become addicted to pickup artists, my friend. And isn't addiction kind of a strong word? A little bit, in my opinion. In French, we don't call it addiction, we call it assuétude, which means assuage, being assuaded. Assuage is a word, but assuation isn't, so languages are weird. Yeah, you've become addicted. The same way you can become addicted to video games. Right? If you're feeling socially isolated on a Friday night, well, if I play some video games, I don't feel so socially isolated because I'm distracting myself. But by just staying at home and playing video games, I'm reinforcing the fact that I'm not going out and I'm staying lonely. Well, now I feel even more lonely. So how do I stop feeling lonely? Well, when I play video games, I feel a little bit less lonely for a little bit of time. Within the addiction cycle, you go towards solutions that are nice short-term fixes. But that long-term hurts you. Pickup artists will offer you solutions that will make you feel better in the short term. But in the long term, will only make you feel lonelier. And the brain is very dumb. It's also very smart. But if you feel sad and you do something and you feel less sad, your brain will just go, oh, that's why I feel less sad. If I feel sad, I eat chocolate. Oh, the chocolate's making me less sad. So when I'm sad, I'm going to eat chocolate. But if you look at the actual dynamic, if you're sad because you are not happy with the way your body look, obviously eating chocolate is not gonna work. But the brain's dumb. The brain doesn't immediately go, oh, the chocolate, yeah, that chocolate is part of the reason why you don't like your body, and that's part of the reason why you don't feel good about yourself. But that's not how you're gonna register it. That's not how your emotions are going to associate the stimuli that way. Um, so the short when you get an addiction cycle like this, it's when the short-term solutions is reinforcing in the long term your initial need. And if we can go to an actual example of addiction, alcohol. You let's say you feel unfulfilled at your job, which a lot of people are. So to cope with that feeling of unfulfillment, you start drinking on Friday nights because, well, that's fun. It's fun and it's a good way to get rid of those pesky feelings of sadness regarding your job. Great, great. Well, now you're kind of hungover on your weekends, so you're kind of missing out on the fun part of your lives, and the only thing you have left is your job, where you're not hungover, and now you feel like you don't do anything except work because on the weekend you're curating your hangover. Okay, that's not great. So you feel even more that your job is not satisfying because you don't have anything else in your life. So what do? Well, you drink a little bit more. Maybe drinking a bit, just a little bit, during the week is fine. And that will make you less effective, less implicated, less motivated to perform well at your job, which will make you feel even more alienated from your job. So you'll keep drinking to help you out with that feeling of alienation, which will make you even worse at your job until you lose your job and now you don't even have a job. And what's your coping strategy then? Still the same, because that gives you a good short-term solution, but you're making your long-term situation worse. And that's why pickup artists remain lonely. And okay, so how can we help these people? Not only pickup artists, but anyone that's stuck in the addiction cycle. Well, it's not that complicated. You need to break it and change the pickup artists here, the short-term, not particularly effective method of fixing the problem, into an actually good way to fix the problem. One of the things I've been saying is, how do I get out of my feeling of despair? How can I pick up girls? How can I be effective? How can I feel like a man or whatever? You need better social skills. You need to groom yourself. You need to not think of every interaction like an opportunity to have sex with the person. Why? That breaks the addiction cycle. This removes this man from the equation. Not specifically this man, but the pickup artist community. This removes this and it replaces it with something that helps in the short and the long term. So now you will not feel lonely by the end of this cycle. If we replace the pickup artist with going out, making friends, having healthy relationships with other women, now you will actually understand women, and you will interact more with them. You will create more meaningful relationships with women. Even if you don't create actual, romantic relationships, well, we'll break the cycle of loneliness, and then you're out of the cycle. A lot of pickup artists start getting into it, and they stay in the community for years and years and years. And this is why. Because they're reinforcing your needs. They're reinforcing your wants. If pickup artists were effective, if their techniques were good, you would just need to watch a 30-minute videos and you'd be done. You'd be fine. Oh, how do I convince women to sleep with me? Oh, here's how you do it. There you go. Oh, thank you. My problems are fixed. But that's what happens. That's what happens at all. They stay in the cycle because it doesn't work. You've got pickup artists that stay there for years and years. And they're not dumb. They're not stupid. Their brains aren't broken. Their brains are working perfectly, exactly as they're supposed to work. They see a short-term gain and it feels like it works when it doesn't.